What's up, everybody? So this is part two of making a highlight video. The first part talked about how to make your intro video going into the highlight in After Effects. So a little more extensive on this one just because it covers the Basecamp checklist and then also the cuts from the sermon and then how to export and distribute and all that. So first thing we got to do is each of you will be assigned either the prior week or the weekend prior to that week that you got to come in and edit the video. There always will be a Basecamp to-do list assigned to you so that when you come in you can open it up, you can get the to-do list going and be able to check all the stuff that you're going to need. So either myself, Pastor Logan, or Pastor Zeke will assign you accordingly. And then if you have any questions, you always contact us. If you have to change or reschedule, again, you can always contact us and we can go ahead and make that happen. So getting into the Basecamp project, once you come in, like I said, you'll just go to your Basecamp. It'll be just a couple of tabs. I'll make sure to add these tutorials within this project template. But as far as the to-dos section, so the to-dos, you'll see this. It's always best to start off with just looking at your media prep, making sure like you check to make sure the B-roll footage is in there. Like I know I told you guys in the first video where to look, but in case you forgot, I left a little note in here. It says B-roll footage you will use in After Effects as your intro video. So you'll go into the ingest folder. So you go to store, ingest 2018, last weekend's sermon project folder, into 06 source, and then right here the very first one, the B-roll folder, and the way you can tell B-roll says right there at the end. Click on that and it'll be in here. I promise you it'll be in here. So once you check to make sure there's clips in there, you say, all right, got my B-roll footage, check that off, good to go. All right, so now for the B-roll opener. So again, just like in the first video, I told you where to go open up the project, which was in store, admin, the CC files, the DCC, edit common, 09 highlight, and then it should be the very first one showing as the After Effects project. They're both project templates are named the same, but the difference is you'll be able to tell at the end. This one will say AEP for After Effects project, and then the other one will say PR Proj for Premiere project. So once you open that up, just go ahead and check this off. And literally, guys, like I know it's like a hassle, but this will help you to stay on track, and this will help you to hit every single thing that you'll need. And you won't miss anything out. You'll always ensure that everything is in its proper place even, and then you always know, like, you won't say, oh man, I missed something or I forgot to do something. The to-do list is your guide. It is your personal Pastor Zeke or Bobby technically on the web. So after you open that up, immediately save a copy of it into the into that highlight folder. So instantly right here. So this is where you would go and save it. So you would open up After Effects, go to File, Save As. It's going to ask you where do you want to save it. You'll just go to Store, ingest 2018, last weekend sermon project folder, and then in 08 highlight you'll rename the date. So you'll do 18. In this case it'll be 18/07/07. It's actually going to be the following, or I'm sorry, the prior weekend of the sermon edit. I know I have it wrong right here, but just just make sure that the highlight is for the prior weekend video. So yeah, you'll save it in here. Once that's saved, hit a checkbox. Remember to choose the B-roll footages that you like. Drag and drop them into the placeholders. There should be 7 of them. After that, you'll go to the main tab that you'll see in your After Effects. You'll go to File, Export, add a render queue. Now I know in the video I told you and I'll make sure to edit this in the video as well, that you'll see that I told you to change the module and the format to ProRes 4444, but really we're going to do ProRes 422 LT. So there's 3 422s, but in parentheses you'll see HQLT, and I forgot what the other one is. Always use the LT. So the LT, make sure you use that one, just because got word from Pastor Zeke that it's more efficient. It's a smaller file size, but it has the same high quality of it, and so that's the one we'll start using from now on. So once you get the B-roll opener, once it's been rendered and exported into your 08 highlight folder, excuse me, then we'll go into Premiere. So Premiere, it's the same thing. You get it from the same. You get the template from the same spot. You go to Store, Admin, CC Files, DCC Edit Common, 09 Highlight, and it's right there. It's the second one. Again, the PR Proj means Premiere Project. You'll double click, open that up. This should populate. Once it's populate, you'll see that there's your different sequences, one for Phoenix, one for Yuma, and then an audio review, which is great because when we mix in the music with the vocals, we want to ensure that the vocals stay on top of the music so that people can hear what's being spoken. And also, but we don't want to completely cut out the music. We still want to keep that in the background so that there's still that momentum of the video and that excitement. And so we check the audio review sequence to ensure that the audio of that video is good. Here is the lower third showing the title of the highlight. So like this one says, "What is a real Christian?" from when Pastor Rich preached that as the first part of the series. This right here, I'll show you how to edit this in Photoshop. It's very, very easy. You literally can just right click. Down here it says edit in Photoshop. It'll open it up in Photoshop. You can double click on the title, change it to what the title is of the sermon, change the speaker. So if it's Pastor Rich, if it's Pastor Luke, Pastor Matt, whoever, you can change it. And then once you save it in Photoshop, the awesome thing is that this will automatically update. It'll automatically update and it'll be so easy to use. We have all our intros for the end of the highlight video. We got the majority of our speakers here. We got all the pastors, and then we have our generic outro. This one mainly used for like social media. Whenever we want to post a highlight to social media, we'll use this video to ensure that you know, it can just have a good ending to it. Then we got our highlight music. We got our essentially our camera capture and our B-roll intro. Alright, so as soon as you open this up, without even skipping a beat, as soon as this opens up, you do File, Save As, and then again, you know, you'll start from here, like the Store. You go to Ingest 2018, last weekend's sermon. You'll go to Highlight, and then you'll go to Save It. So this will have like a bunch of X's on it. It'll look like this. So when you first open it up and before you save it, it'll look like that. Just go ahead and change the date to whatever the sermon project is. So this one says 0715, so 0715. And then I always like to change the ending from template to edited, just because it'll let me know that this is the edited version. This is not the original source from the CC files. This is like the one that's going to be saved in here. And another thing, once you save this immediately, it generates the autosave feature. So the autosave feature is great because if something happens, like there's a power outage and the computer crashes, or it just completely freezes and it forces it to shut down, but the autosave feature has been initiated, it'll literally save from the last autosave that took place. And I think autosave, it's only like between every few minutes that it updates. So it's come in handy so many times, guys. It's really, really, really important that you save a copy, just because you could be working. had this happen to me a few times. Pastor Zeke, I know it's happened to him a few times where we're all into a video, we're very creative on it, it's going awesome, we're like literally the last hill crossing over to the finish line, and then Premiere just crashes out of the blue. And then instantly we know, oh shoot, I didn't save that at all. I know there's the autosave feature wasn't applied. I'm screwed, and this video is due in 10 minutes. So always save, guys. Constantly make sure you always go to File, Save As. You save a copy of the template with the updated date. You don't have to change the end, but I do because it helps me. And just make sure that you do that. So save, place, yep. All right. All right. So once you save that, you'll go back to your Basecamp. Go ahead and close that out. I even have it as a to-do, guys. Immediately save as a copy of the Premiere project. Excuse me. And then you import the B-roll. So you import the B-roll from the After Effects that you made. So after you go into, after you open up your Premiere project, then you're going to go ahead and import in your B-roll. So the B-roll is already there, but let me just show you how to do it. You can either double click in here, and this opens up, and you can see the import. Or if sometimes if you do it on a file, it's pretty funny because if you double click on a file, this will populate, so it won't open up. So you gotta kind of do it in a blank spot. But just to make it easier, you go to File, Import. It's just as simple. And then you go to, again, you're back to your ingest folder, ingest 2018, last weekend's sermon edit project, 08 highlight, and then your intro, import that. Once it's imported, there it is right there. Okay, so you remember how I told you in the first video that there was a black gap, so it had the titles in it, but I removed that. So just go ahead and, oh, sorry about that. Let me just. All right. So once you import the intro, in the intro you'll double click on it. It'll populate in your source window. So you remember in the first video how I told you that there was a gap. There's just black where the titles used to be, but I removed them because we just wanted the video effects to it. So if you go here, you'll hit N or I on the keyboard. So once you hit that, just go ahead and hit that. It highlights it. So I is for in, or the starting point of your video clip, and then you keep going, keep going, keep going, all the way until you see that gap. Now here's the gap right here, because then you can see it starts back up. So as soon as that gap ends, I kind of just started right there. You hit O, or out, or end. So once you hit that, then it's this whole highlighted part right here is essentially what will be the video clip that you would drag. So how you drag that, if you click here and drag, you can do that, but you'll also be, you'll probably sometimes dragging in the audio, and we don't need the audio from this because we'll have the music overlaid on it. So you just go ahead and, where it says drag video only, you'll just, once that hand appears, just go ahead and click down on it, hold, and then drag that thing down. Boom. And there it is. So then this whole thing is essentially that. Now I know I'm getting into editing even though I'm doing the checklist, but I kind of just want to, help you guys cover that. So then we'll go back to the checklist. Check that off. Import Cam1 recorded file from da, 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 da. Now in here, it's very, very important. I also left a note that states, you will need to ask which day was edited in order to match the edited sermon. So sometimes we ask, Pastor Rich or Pastor Annie will tell us which sermon to edit if Pastor Rich or Annie are preaching. Sometimes we'll ask the other pastors like Pastor Luke, Matt, Pastor Maria, what days they would like to have edited. Now, this is something we do because we want to ask them what days they feel they preach the sermon better. So we kind of have that luxury instead of other churches just only having services on Sunday. We can say, hey, which day do you want to have edited? Which one did you feel better about putting on the app? And normally we will always have that ready for you. Like we'll say, hey, make sure you get the highlight footage from Saturday night or Sunday morning because it's the video that was edited. You can always check back to make sure that which day, like if you remember, if you're there for the full weekend, you'll be able to tell which day the pastor preached the sermon based on their clothes or just the date itself. So it's always important that you match the highlight video according to what the date for the sermon was chosen. So once you do that, then you can go ahead and go to your sermon project folder. So you'll go back to store, ingest 2018, back to last weekend's sermon project, source. Okay, so here, you gotta watch this really carefully. So we have Cam 1 for Saturday, Cam 1 for Sunday, Cam 2 for Saturday, and Cam 2 for Sunday. Normally, you would just select Cam 1 or Cam 1 on Cam 1 for Saturday or Cam 1 for Sunday. You wouldn't necessarily add in a second clip just because it's a very short clip and it's pretty rapid on the video clips that you do. So we want to make sure that we have them like a good front shot of the speaker. So if they say, well, we want to have if the pastor or the speaker says, I want to have Saturday edited and put on the app. Okay, so then we'll edit Saturdays, we'll put that on the app, and then we'll say, hey, highlight person, make sure you edit the Cam 1 capture from Saturday. So then you'll go to Saturday, you can click and drop, or you can do the whole file, import, store, ingest. And then here, and then so what I do to help me again is that I just take this whole folder. I just go ahead and I don't click on here and then get this because there's also a lot of embedded codings that we would need that go along with this folder. So you can see that there's a folder here that has this coding. So I would just go ahead and get just this whole folder, just to play it safe. So as soon as you import that, it's just going to populate right here. Okay, so once it populates there, I go ahead and move it into my source folder, and then there's this drop down right here. So with this drop down, I'll hit that, and then it'll have another folder. Again, this wasn't, you didn't see this in the Finder because this is embedded in it. You'll just go ahead and hit that drop down again, and then you'll see all these little files here. The main file that you're gonna want to use is the one with all the zeros, the very first one. Why? Because it has the full capture of everything. These are also other captures, but in my experience, I've always seen that the file with all the zeros has the entire capture from start to finish, from the time they hit record to the time that they hit stop. So you just go ahead and double click on that. It'll generate the entire, and you can see it right here, the time of it, 1 hour and 33 minutes. So you'll just go ahead and drag it. There's worship, there's offering, there's Pastor Matt with missions, and then there's Pastor Luke giving the message. So see that initially started like almost halfway into the recording, like just about. Let's see. So then like right here, I would kind of find that spot to just kind of start the edit. So then this is where I would start. This is where I would start the edit to getting my cuts, and this is what essentially is a good starting point, instead of uh, starting from way back here, because we don't want any of the worship stuff. We just want the sermon editing parts. So the reason why we do the raw capture instead of the export file is because the raw capture doesn't have any overlays on it. On the export file, there will be a little bug up here that says Destiny on Demand, and we don't want to show that because we also broadcast this video. We broadcast this video along with our service, and so if there's a weird overlay from when broadcast also puts a bug that says Destiny Live, they'll have to take that down, and then people would see that it will say Destiny on Demand, thinking this just eradicates any type of confusion, and also it's better just to use the source file as well. So go ahead and use this file. Once you go ahead and once you go ahead and import that in, then you go back to Basecamp, check that off. Edit 5 minutes of chosen clips in the sequence. Okay, so what this means is when you go back to Premiere, you want to get at least 5 minutes worth of video clips. Now I know our highlight video from start to finish is just about a minute, maybe a minute 15, but this is going to help you to kind of compress and condense video clips, because if you just say, well, I'm just going to stick to the 45 seconds, okay, you need to understand that you have to watch over and over the things that you do. So if you repeatedly make certain cuts that aren't very well, then you won't have enough room to make correction of that. What I mean by that is that you need to you essentially just need to give yourself that backup to fall back on whenever there's like a video clip that you don't like, or because I've done this highlight for so long that I still do captures from like up to 2 minutes, but because I kind of know the feel that I want to have for the video, that takes time. So that's why you need to have 5 minutes worth of video clips. So let's start that over. Alright, so going back to the Basecamp, so after you import Cam 1, you'll do edit 5 minutes of chosen clips in the sequence. So you'll just do essentially how you did the B-roll. You'll do I for in, you'll start O for out or end, and then you'll actually just drag both of that. So you'll see both the video file and also the audio. You want to get at least 5 minutes worth. So this highlighted part is only about a minute and 13-14 seconds long. So 5 minutes is about here. Yeah, so it's like about right there. Boom. So you would need to fill this whole entire gap right here with clips. And this is going to help you to kind of choose from this pile the clips that you're going to want to have in your finalized edited video. So yeah, so once you go ahead and get 5 minutes worth of clips, then you can go ahead and check that off. And then from those 5 minutes, you'll want to condense it back down to a minute. I would say 45 seconds to a minute. It doesn't have to be exactly a minute, just because I've seen in the past with other editors, they're like, oh, well, I have 45 seconds. Do I really need 15 extra seconds? No, you don't really need 15 extra seconds. It's helpful to have it up to a minute, just because when we do our cuts and our transitions, we kind of cut things down. So from 45 seconds worth of clips, it could really go down to 35 seconds or even 30 seconds worth of clips once we clean it up and cut it down. So that's why we say a minute worth of best clips. And then after you get that minute, then go ahead and check that off. Add music as split track is the next thing. So what I already did, because I'm so nice, I went ahead and I edited the track that we use. So I already set it to the level it's supposed to be at. I already turned it down essentially where the speaker should start speaking in the highlight. So let me show you. If you just take this whole video clip, or this whole audio clip, I'm sorry, down. So that's about, let's see here. So this is about a minute, 14, 15 seconds. All right. So you see this, like there's this dip right here. This right here, this whole spot is essentially where the speaker should have the video clips on. And then right here is essentially where the intro of the following speaker or the outro should be at. So it'd be like, a clip or two of the B-roll, again, just to kind of close it out, and then the intro video of the preacher for that weekend. In the beginning, it'll be the B-roll footage without the audio of the B-roll footage, because there's already going to be audio here, and then everything in the middle is going to be video clips of the preaching. So once you have that laid out, just go ahead and click that off, and then should be good to go with that. So add effects and graphics. So this is the one that I told you about with the lower third, how easy it is to edit that, and it is. I'm about to show you. So the graphics. So when you go to the graphics, you'll right click on that file. So you'll see it in here, and you'll just go ahead, click on it, right click, go all the way down where it says Edit in Adobe Photoshop. So you click on that, Photoshop bouncing up and down. It's going to open here in a couple seconds. And once this opens up, it's super simple how to change this. Okay, so like I already clicked on it just once, and it's already ready to go ahead and make some changes. So I just need to go ahead and let's see here. So it was intentions. Oh, I need to learn how to spell. Intentions don't equal actions. All right. So here's a kind of like a tricky thing with this lower third. So you want to center it. Okay. So if there's like 4 words, you want to make sure that there's 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. If there's 5, you want to make sure there's 3 on top, 2 on the bottom, and so forth. So if it's like this, like we really can't leave it like that, right? So you got to do some slight editing. So all you got to do is when you click on it, you just go ahead and hit Command Enter, and then you do Command T for Tom, and then this comes up. So it's not the edited text, okay? It's scaling it. So we got to resize it. So you'll go here and you'll hold down Shift, and then you'll click on the mouse, and then you'll scale it down a little bit. Not so much, just right there. Okay, so and then it even tells you when it's centered. So that purple line right down the middle, that's centered. The purple line going horizontal, that's centered according to the other text. So then it doesn't look all weird like that. And then the same thing here, just click on it once, it's ready to edit. So Luke, okay. Took me forever to make sure I always get his name right. Hit Enter. And then, so this still kind of doesn't look well, so let's go ahead and edit this a little bit too. Oh, oh. Like that. Yeah, it's better. Alright, so then all I gotta do is once I make my changes, and remember, it won't always be, where you have to make these type of changes. It'll literally be like a quick change to the text. Sometimes Pastor Rich will preach here in Yuma, back to back, so you won't even have to worry about changing the name. Sometimes you just need to change. He'll do a series, and we just need to change from part 2 to part 3, and it's just a number change. Cool. Once you're done and you're ready to go ahead and save this, all you got to do is hit File and Save, or just Command S for save. Then you go back to Premiere, and voila, it just changed. So once that changed, then you're ready to go ahead and add this on top of the So this gets added right when the highlight clips of the speaker starts going. So the very first clip of the cut from the speaker or the preacher, you add this lower third over that, and then you do like a nice transition in or transition out, and then that's how you add in that lower third. It's very, very important that we add in a lower third so that people know what the highlight is about. And then, we can also use it for other things and social media and stuff like that. So it's always important to make sure you add in the title, check your spelling, check the names of the preachers, make sure you got that right. And yeah, so after you save that, you go back to your Basecamp project, and then you just go ahead and check that off. Add speaker intro, unless advised to use the generic outro. So sometimes we won't have, sometimes speakers will change. So I get that, for example, we'll say, oh, we have Pastor Rich preaching up this upcoming weekend, so it's Pastor Rich to add his intro. Something happens and Pastor Rich, isn't able to preach. He has to go out of town. He has to go to Phoenix, and the video's already been edited. All right, so then at that point, I just kind of went ahead of myself. So let's say that the video's already hasn't been edited yet, but Pastor Rich has to go out of town. He can't preach for whatever reason. And we say, well, we don't know who's going to preach yet. Could be Pastor Luke, could be Pastor Matt. We don't know yet. Sometimes we'll just add the generic outro just to kind of give a review on Basecamp for pretty much the overall look of it. And then once we find out who the preacher is, we can come back in here, quickly just update it to the right intro, or in some cases I've seen it's not preferred. We'll just play the video as is with the generic outro, and then just play back to back the intro video of the speaker of that day. The outro video, though, will be used when we post highlights on social media, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. We'll definitely use the generic outro because we don't want to put the intro video like on the highlight when it's going on social media. It wouldn't make sense. Excuse me. So, just always make sure you know who's preaching that following weekend. The majority of the time, you can ask Pastor Logan, you can ask Pastor Zeke, you can ask myself, and we'll let you know because we do have access to who's preaching on that, and we can just let you know who's going to be preaching that following weekend. Once you do that, check that off. And then you're going to check audio, split track, and audio levels to -12 dB. So the way you do that is two ways. So you check it here. So you see it's kind of like in this general area over here. So here's -12 dB. You want to keep it in this area here because when it's playing for the service, it has a good enough audio for the sound guys to work off of. If it's too low, we have to do a bunch of things on the fly, or even when we're checking it, when we're trying to keep it consistently at this level here at -12. This is kind of the standard. Excuse me. This is kind of the standard for all the videos that we show during the service. The audio is to be around -12. Even when the music drops, the music doesn't have to stay at -12 when it drops because there's already going to be vocals on top of that, but the vocals do need to stay at -12. So those vocals need to be at around -12, and the music can slightly drop down to like -20 or something like that, just to kind of keep something in the background and keep that excitement going. So once you check that and your audio is good, go ahead and check that off. Then you watch final video and post on here for review. Okay, so once you have everything in place, once you have your music in place, your intro in place, your sermon cuts, you got cut it down to 45 seconds to a minute, you got your Photoshop lower third with the right title. You got your um, speaker intro video at the end, or the generic outro video at the end, and everything just like you're like, all right, I am done, ready to export, ready to rock and roll. Let's do this. You want to watch it in here before you make any type of exports. Why do I say that? Because sometimes you will watch it, or sometimes you'll see in your sequence that everything is in its place, and you'll say, all right, it's good. But then if you watch it, you'll say, oh man, I have to change a couple things here. This transition was weird. His words were cut off here. This just sounds really weird. The music's too loud over the vocals in this part. You want to kind of critique it at that point and just clean it up real nice, because once you export it, you're saying, hey, this is the very good review that I want to have published. And so once we look at it, then we can say, yeah, it's a good review. Go ahead and export it to the full type of render, and then we'll put it in the we can share folder. So once you see that, and you're ready to go, you're ready to export, you've already seen it 2 or 3 times here in the sequence. Awesome, we're ready to export. So let's go to exporting. So the way you do that is you go to File, Export, and Export Media. So there's nothing in here, so let's just go ahead and put the media real quick. Alright, so it's File, Export, Media, right? So once you do that, this window is going to populate. Perfect. So it populated. So I always recommend using Media Encoder. Now I know in the first video I told you to render out the intro within After Effects, and that's better. That's better to do it because we don't really have any presets for, I mean, I'm sure we can make some, but it's just better to do all the After Effects rendering within After Effects. And then the Media Encoder is used for Premiere, because we do have presets for Media, we do have presets for Premiere within Media Encoder. And let me show you what those presets are. So if you hit Q, it'll automatically open up Media Encoder. Okay, so that those two work hand in hand with each other when you hit Q. Premiere tells Media Encoder to open up, and open up with this file or this sequence that's in here, and Media Encoder sets it as a file. There it is right there. And here are all our presets right here. There's user preset and groups, okay? So we got our audio, Vimeo, YouTube preset, ProRes HQ, ProRes LT, another LT, proxy, a review, and then for social media we have a Vimeo, a YouTube, and I'm sure we'll make a couple more later on. So the one you're going to want to use is the preset you're going to need in order to upload a Basecamp. That one is this right here, review. And the way you can tell is here in the comment section it says Basecamp review. So once you have that, you'll just go ahead and click and drag on there, and you'll see it populated to review. So then same thing with same thing with Media Encoder as you did in After Effects for the B-roll footage. You want to tell it where to go. So output file, click on the blue link. I want to go to ingest 2018, down to last weekend's sermon project folder to 08 highlight. And then again, we just change the name to the day of the project. Just like that. That's all we need right there. 07/15, you might highlight. Okay? Hit save, hit play, and there you go. Once that's done, then what you want to do is you don't want to check this off yet. Okay? You don't want to go ahead and check it off, because then you won't have anywhere to put the video. So you'll open up this video here, and I'll go ahead and change that right now. Alright, so once this populates like that, once the video is done exporting, you'll go ahead and upload that video within here for review. And then you want to make sure you let Pastor Zeke and Pastor Logan know, that way they can review it and if it's good, they'll let you know it's good. That way you can export a new file for the service. Or if they say, hey, you might want to change this, or hey, you forgot to add the lower third for the title, or hey, the music's too loud, it's overbearing the vocals, whatever feedback or critique that they give you, just go ahead and apply it to the edit, and then re-upload a new review. Don't just apply the edit and then export a review or export a file for the service. You always want to ensure, even if you tell them, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and change that right now, 100%, don't worry about it, still upload a new review. Because if once they rewatch it, they could say, oh, also I didn't catch this the first time, but let me go ahead and give you this pointer as well to change, or whatever. Or if they review it again and be like, oh, you know what, it's actually not Pastor Rich preaching, it's Pastor Luke, or oh, it's not Pastor Luke preaching, it's Pastor Rich, whatever. Always upload a review, even if you made 2 to 3 more changes after that. So yeah, and then once that's done, once it's approved, then okay, let's go ahead and select the correct one. So we'll go back to Premiere. We'll go ahead and, oh, did you see that save project? That's autosave right there. All right, so then you go, so you start here and you go to File, Export Media. You go again to Queue, populates another link, and then I believe it's this one, the ProRes LT 720 23976. Okay, so then this one, just go ahead and drop that in there, and then rename this once more. So to actually help you, you would want to rename this in the project folder. I didn't do that right now, but let me just show you how much easier it is. So if you go here, and do this after you save a copy in your highlight. So as soon as you do, as soon as you open it and you immediately save a copy, I would go ahead and I'll just add in to update the title sequence. So then you guys know to go ahead and change that as well. So you go here, go 715, hit enter. So there you go. So then when you come down here and you do the File, Export Media, it'll automatically, see, it's already generating all that. Boom. So then you go ahead and get your preset, drag it and drop it over there. Over here, it's already written, set up. See how easy that was? I should have done that in the get-go. And then you go to Ingest 2018, or last folder. Don't put it in Export, put it in Highlight, save, hit play. Once this is done, you're not done yet. You're not like out of the woodworks yet. You got to make sure that GFX can get this video. Okay. So after that's done exporting, 2 important things. After that's done exporting, you're going to check the video that you exported. You're going to check it once, maybe 2 times if you have to, all the way through. Look for, the way the video looks. Look for the title. Make sure everything is spelled correctly. Look for the intro. Make sure it's the right speaker. Hear about the audio, making sure that the vocals are on top of the music and the music's not overbearing the vocals. And make sure that it has a very exciting and good ending on the music, and that it fades out right. And then once you have that, you're like, all right, the video is good to go. Okay, so what you're going to do, and I'm just doing this for visual, let's say that this is the finished product, right? So you're going to copy, you're not going to click and drag because it's going to take it out of this folder. So you go ahead and you can either right click and copy. So you'll copy that file, or you can just select it, hit Command C, and then go to Weekend Share. Weekend Share is also set up in the GFX computers. So after you set that up in there, you just go ahead and paste item. Boom. So it takes a few seconds, maybe a couple minutes to sync this video file to GFX, but GFX now has access to the Weekend highlight video. guys, it's really, really important that we follow these steps. It's really, really important that we know what we're doing, that we're aware of the things that we're doing, because this is something that we're putting out towards the church. This is going to be something that we show to new people. This is going to be something that is shown on social media, so people that haven't even seen our church, but once it gets shared or gets passed around on social media, people will see this highlight video. So always ensure that you are doing your checklists, that you are making sure that you're putting your best effort forward, and that you ask questions if you don't know. Don't be afraid to not know something. It's better to ask something that you don't know than to just assume and go with it even if you don't know it, because then sometimes that can turn around and not be so good. So constantly ask questions, always be aware of what you're doing, and follow the steps in Basecamp. And if something doesn't make sense in Basecamp, if you're not understanding something, if the wording's even weird, if it's too complicating, let me know. Send me a message privately, call me, whatever you got to do to get a hold of me, and I will explain it, and then I'll update it, because I want to make sure that we all have a firm understanding of everything that we're trying to do and produce. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for learning. Again, shoot me, Pastor Logan or Pastor Zeke, comments or questions or anything that you need in order to help you succeed in making highlights. Thanks, guys.